Hello and welcome back to Reach Your Happy with Laura. So every Wednesday and Friday, I deliver a voice message of guidance that I receive for my email list. And for the past year or so, I just did voice messages to the email that I had of my clients, and now I'm switching to video. So this is my second video doing my voice message guidance. So a little bit different than the energy forecast. The energy forecast, I'm getting a vibe of the week ahead, where this voice message is simply guidance that you can refer to at any time and trust your guidance, trust your innermost self to select the guidance that will most resonate with you and the questions you're having right now. So what came to me before I popped on here today was that every single situation in my life, and I'm guessing your life if you're still here, that every situation that has come into your experience, you have handled in some form or another. It may have not been you handling it in the best possible way that you could imagine. I know I've done this a million times where something happens and I play it back in my head and I'm like, oh, that would have been the perfect time to say this. That would have been the perfect time to just leave and say, no, thank you, I'm good. And so how you responded to a given situation may not be exactly how you want to be responding, but you have responded, you have handled it in some way or another. And I really believe, and maybe you don't believe this, maybe you don't subscribe to it, and I welcome that. I think when we're in this kind of bubble of, yeah, I agree, we don't get to expand. So if you disagree, let your girl know, and you don't even have to let me know, just, make up your own mind about it. But I do believe that everything that comes into our experience is for the purpose of helping us evolve, that nothing happens on accident or out of the blue. I think things come to us for many different reasons. One being your soul came here to learn very specific things, and so these incidences occur to assist us. Another thing is, I believe the energy you're putting out into the world comes back to you. It reflects to you. It gives you feedback about where your most dominant thoughts are. And 3, we're working with other people. So if you're in a relationship or you have family, you have coworkers, there is a dynamic there that you're helping them learn, they're helping you learn. And so it is this co-creative experience. So that said, I do feel like whatever comes our way is intended for our personal growth. However, when you're in the thick of it, maybe you're in the thick of it right now and you're like, yeah, Laura, really? Yeah, you think this is something I can handle? It doesn't feel like I can handle it. But I want to remind you, let's look back at every time you thought that this is too much. This is like pushing me past the point that I've ever been before, and I cannot deal. Which, again, if you're listening to this, you have dealt on some level. Dealing with something doesn't necessarily mean you put it all on your back. Dealing with something sometimes looks like outsourcing to your therapist, to your friend, to your partner, to a family member, to a team. Who knows? Depending how big or small your issue is, you may need certain kinds of resources. But again, you've found a way through. You dealt with it somehow. And the point of me bringing this up at all isn't to stir up like all the tough shit you've been through. Happy weekend. It's more so pointing out your strength and your ability to navigate the unknown, to navigate the black in your life, right? The black being the unknown. Why, as children, are we so afraid of the dark? Because it's the unknown. And I mean, as an adult, I'm afraid of the dark because it's the unknown. I don't know if I'm gonna trip over something or someone's there, spider, right? Whatever kind of things that I make up in my head about what's possible. Well, when we're presented with a challenge in our life, What if we were so conditioned to recalling how capable we've been in the past that when a new issue arises that you immediately jump to, and I know every problem has a solution, every issue has its breakthrough, has its aha moment, that everything I'm going through has an answer. There's a way through. I just perhaps haven't found that quite yet. Like, what if every time a problem came to you, it's like, like a math problem. A math problem is really no different than a life problem. It's like there is a specific way. There are ways to get to the solution, but maybe I need to call on the teacher. Maybe I need a friend, phone a friend. So wherever you are in your life, whatever you're facing, whether your issue's this big or it's this big, maybe call to mind a time where your issue was this big and you figured it out. What will that do? Perhaps build your confidence. Perhaps remind you that I am so much more capable than I give myself credit for. Because I've done really hard things before. And other people, maybe other women, maybe other men, depending on what you are, have done this hard thing successfully. And you know, people say, oh, don't compare yourself to others. No one's like you. And that's true, but comparison kind of helps you figure out where you are. Judgment is kind of chalked up in the spiritual world to be a bad thing, but judgment is a natural instinct. Like my niece, who's about to be 4, I was with her the other weekend and it was probably around 7:30, so the sun's going down, and she's peeking outside and she's like, Auntie, it's scary time outside. And she was asking me if I'm afraid of the dark and all this stuff. And I was like, you know what, that's a healthy fear. That's a healthy judgment to look outside and go, I don't know what's out there, and I'm not able to defend myself from an animal or a person or whatever may be there. So that to her feels scary. And I kind of looked at it like, a part of me wanted to be like, oh my gosh, don't worry, outside's safe. But it's like, you know what, you're not wrong. That's actually a really good judgment. Or when you're walking down the road and you feel eyes on you and you're like that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to discern something that feels right or a little bit off to you. That's a really good thing. So knowing that we have this ability to discern, a really big issue versus a really small issue, and also, do I need help with this issue? Is outside resources the best possible thing for me? And I am counter dependent. I very much so have been. I remember being 3 years old being like, Mom, I'm gonna wash my hair. I don't want you to help me shower. I don't want help. I don't want help. I want to do it all on my own. I've just been like that. So for me to ask for help takes like a really big issue, but I've gotten better with that. That's not my point. But I got sidetracked with Amelia, my niece, thinking about her and how cute she is and afraid of the dark. Anyway, my point is, dealing with the circumstances of our life, we've got to remember that I've done this before, that I've done hard things, and that this is no different. And perhaps the issue feels like, I know I've experienced this lately, like the issues seem to be getting bigger and scarier and more threatening in the sense of like I have more to lose by taking that leap. But I think that also coincides with my ability. Like I am more stable and strong and confident and prepared and capable. So it makes sense that my issues are kind of rising, right? The tide is rising, my abilities and also the issues that I'm facing are there to meet me. You know, Amelia, the 3-year-old, being afraid of the dark, like that's her biggest thing right now. It's like, I can't go get my dolly that's out on the driveway because I'm afraid, right? To her, that's a big thing. That's her baby. She likes to tuck her baby in at nighttime, even though she's got 82 of them. It's something, right? That caused a predicament in her. And so I encourage her, speak up. What do you need? Talk to me. And she's like, Dolly's outside. I'm like, yeah, no, full sentence. What, Auntie? She said, can you, May, please help me get that outside because I'm afraid? And it's like, yes, you know, letting problem, and I go problems, I don't mean to like write off problems. People have problems, obviously, but since every problem has a solution, I don't really label it like that. But that's just a me thing. So anyways, her problem had a solution and it happened to be me. And so your problem does have a solution, but you've got to trust yourself enough to be calling the right people, to be outsourcing this issue and getting the support that you need. And I think that is more of a tool that we develop generally later in life. But again, think back to being a kid. Wasn't being a kid so hard into teenage years and even like early 20s? I'm only 32, so maybe there's more. I'm sure there's more. There's always more to deal with. But I remember in particular being a child into teen through my teens was just so hard. One, you're learning things for the first time, right? Like things are harder in a sense because you've never kind of been faced with these issues before. So I think sometimes we're kind of dragging the past forward and seeing ourselves through our 18-year-old eyes, not our 32-year-old eyes. So old self versus now self. So maybe there's some of that happening for you too, that you're looking at a predicament through eyes of a younger version of you, not your 52-year-old self or your 40 or 18, you know, whatever age you are. So sometimes we need a little updating too, and that's why I bring this up, to just call to mind that I've done hard things before. This is no different. It feels a little bit more challenging because I haven't dealt with this specific challenge, but that doesn't deem me incapable just because I haven't done it before. Like my other niece, she's 8. I always like tie my t-shirt up and like, I call it cute, but I don't know if it's so cute, but I tie it up in like a cute little knot, especially when it like loosens up and I want it a little more fitted. So the other day we were at a birthday party and she's like, you know, kind of swirling it around. Like she gets the idea that you turn it around and pull the knot through, but she's never really done it before. So I said, you know, you want my help? And she said, sure. And she doesn't like help. She likes to figure it out. And so she's watching me and she's like, okay. And then it gets untucked and she goes to do it again. And I'm watching her and I'm standing next to her. She just happens to be standing next to me. And I go to reach in and I'm like, you know what, maybe. And she pulls it through and it's not the neatest looking thing, but she did it. And so in 2 hours from I can't do this to maybe I can try, and it's like it doesn't always come out the cleanest, or you don't always get all the words out to say it just in the most perfect, eloquent way, but yet she was the perfect example of how we can be in a space of darkness, of unknown, move into the known, and then immediately have a shift in our experience. Like things can happen really quickly. And I think calling to mind some core beliefs of yours that, again, maybe this isn't a belief of yours, but maybe it could be a helpful one, that I've dealt with really hard things and I've made it through. So that means anything that comes my way, I will find a way to manage it, to move through it. And it's not about the final destination. It's not about getting through the problem just to be in the solution, even though solutions feel so good, don't they? When you've had a problem for so long and then a solution pops and you're like, glorious. I mean, part of the reason we have problems is because we like that feeling of a solution so much. But whenever you're in a predicament, the sooner you can move into, there's a solution for every problem. I know I'm going to find my way through this. Like it immediately shifts the energy, right? And it shifts from shit to, okay, what can we do from here? I've been here before on some level. I've dealt with hard things before. Okay, there's a solution for every problem. All right, I can handle this. I may not want to. I may not feel like it today. It may not have been on my list of things that I thought were going to occur, but here we are. So how are you going to choose to show up? And that's just it. We decide for ourselves every day, every moment, how we're going to show up. And sometimes we're asleep, we're unconscious, and we show up in a way that we don't even want to talk about. And we don't need to. We don't need to revisit that. Just reminding yourself, I'm improving, I'm growing. And I tell my nieces and nephews this all the time because I've made mistakes and I've lied and I've done things, and I fess up to them and I remind them that adults mess up too. Adults are learning too, that there's no end point where you get it all figured out and you're like, I can just chill back here. No, it's this constant evolution of us growing, meeting another challenge, growing again, meeting another challenge, right? We just continue to climb the ladder. So giving yourself some grace that you are human, that you're not supposed to have it all figured out. If you had it all figured out, you'd be really fucking bored. You know, this is what I was saying, part of, problem to solution is the journey to the solution. It's who are you becoming on your way to that solution? Like my most recent thing that I've experienced, I needed to talk to a PTSD trauma specialist, and I was like, I've never had to do this before. Like my mom died. I've been, 17 years now without a mother, and having the dynamics in my family and being the youngest and starting my own business. And like now I go to a therapist, but it was like, you know what? This issue is calling for a higher level of support. And I had to outsource. I had to reach out to my siblings and ask, like, do you know a trauma therapist that can help me right now? And I got one, but it wasn't about getting the therapist. It was me acknowledging I have an issue, I need help, and I don't know how the heck to get my head on straight right now because I am so out of sorts. And so I grew in that moment from like, how do I deal with this, to can anybody help me? And the help was there. It was who I became from that issue to getting the help, to reaching out. That's really where the juice was. Honestly, the therapist was helpful and put things in perspective for me, showed me that I wasn't really ready to work through it the way that her process would work. So was it about getting a therapist, or was it about me speaking up and asking for help in a way that I never have before? So every challenge bears fruit. Every challenge isn't, again, about the final destination. It's who are you growing into on your way to that destination? And so then we take challenges less personally. It's like, oh, I'm here to grow. I'm here to evolve. This is actually a really good thing. So yeah, shoot, it sucks to be in this challenge, in this predicament, and I'm gonna grow from this, and I'm gonna have tools, and I'm gonna shift maybe my character, maybe some of my beliefs that are holding me back from the growth that I really seek. And maybe through this process, I will be in a new place that I have not yet been before. And isn't that what we're here for? To evolve past the point that we've been before. Did not expect that to be this long, but when I get into the zone, I just go. So that is your weekend message this week. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe. I will see you soon. Take good care. Bye-bye.